Have you ever faced this dilemma? Should you add a strange phone number that appeared in your dream? Listen to me, never do it. Because you can't possibly imagine what eerie existence lurks on the other side of the screen. That night, my roommate Jingfei said she dreamed of a phone number and surprisingly remembered it clearly when she woke up. Do you think I should try adding this person on WeChat? She asked us curiously, and Ran immediately perked up. Add them. How can you miss such a magical encounter? You must add them. I chimed in, yeah, it might be a special connection arranged by fate. But just then, Huiqing was awakened by our noise. She coldly interjected, strange numbers, better not add them. Because you can never guess what kind of thing is on the other end. Huiqing was always so unpopular in our dorm. The moment she spoke, the atmosphere instantly dropped to freezing point. Everyone fell silent. Jingfei even secretly rolled her eyes at her, then without hesitation sent a friend request to that number. There were no classes that afternoon, and Huiqing wasn't in the dorm. Jingfei suddenly jumped up excitedly. He accepted my friend request. Let me see. And Ran eagerly moved closer, suggesting, let's check his moments first, see if there are any photos. Wow, he's such a hottie. If his ID photo is this handsome, he must be even more amazing in person. Jingfei, you really struck gold this time. Hearing he was handsome, I got interested too, hanging over my bed asking, how handsome? Quick, show me. Jingfei shared the photo in our 4-person group chat. The man in the photo was indeed strikingly handsome, as if every feature had been carefully sculpted. While I was mesmerized, suddenly there was a ding. Huiqing sent a message to the group. Why are you sharing a funeral photo in the group? Her words stunned all three of us. Funeral photo? What was she talking about? Jingfei reacted first, furious. Typing rapidly, Huiqing, what do you mean? What funeral photo? How can you say such awful things? Huiqing just calmly replied, just stating facts. It is a funeral photo. This man in the photo, his life palace is dim. His illness palace is full and greenish. His life force is gone. He's clearly dead. Is she sick in the head? Jingfei threw her phone down, cursing in the dorm, and Ran quickly consoled her, pointing to her head. Forget it, ignore her. She's got problems. I also thought Huiqing went too far this time. How could she curse such a handsome guy to be dead? Jingfei didn't want to argue with her in the group, so she deleted the photo and resent it to a 3-person group without Huiqing, angrily typing, it's such bad luck having Huiqing as a roommate. And Ran replied, let it go, just put up with it. She's rarely in the dorm anyway, out of sight, out of mind. None of us took Huiqing's funeral photo comment seriously. Jingfei and the handsome guy from her dream chatted enthusiastically, soon calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend, falling into an online romance. They chatted until late every night, and Jingfei was always yawning in the morning. Suddenly, Huiqing stared at her and said, you're not really dating a dead person, are you? Jingfei's yawn got stuck in her throat when she heard this. At first, she thought she'd misheard, but seeing Huiqing's righteous expression, she instantly flew into a rage. Huiqing, I've put up with you for so long. For the sake of being roommates, I've never confronted you. But I can't take it anymore. You're gloomy every day, going on about funeral photos and dead people. Don't you know how to talk properly? Do you find it amusing to deliberately slander others? Jingfei shouted, gesturing wildly. Huiqing remained unruffled. The whites of your eyes are clouded, your fire star is unstable. Your forehead is turning green, and darkness clings to your feet. You've clearly been touched by something unclean. I suggest you stop dating a dead person, or once you're pulled into the world of the dead, you won't be able to return. Jingfei was so angry she could almost spit blood. You're mentally ill. Mental patients should stay in psychiatric hospitals. Don't come to school to act crazy. I'm not ill. Huiqing fixed her with a piercing gaze. If there's nothing wrong with your boyfriend, why does he only text you on WeChat and never makes voice or video calls? Hearing this, my eyes widened in surprise. Because Huiqing was right, Jingfei's boyfriend had never once voice or video called her, only texting. Jingfei often complained about this, but always when Huiqing wasn't in the dorm. Huiqing wasn't popular, always giving off an eerie vibe. When she stared at people, it felt like being gazed into by an abyss, sending chills down your spine. We all avoided getting close to her, let alone making small talk. Logically, Huiqing shouldn't know how Jingfei and her boyfriend interacted. But now, Jingfei was stunned by her question. Seeing my friend and ran speechless at Huiqing's question, I spoke up to help Jingfei. Her boyfriend explained that his home is too dark and small, not convenient for video or voice calls. Huiqing gave a cold laugh. he wasn't lying. But haven't you wondered what kind of home would be both dark and small? Whether it was her contemptuous tone or something else, her question made a word involuntarily pop into my mind: coffin. Only a coffin would be both dark and small. My heart suddenly sank, and my scalp began to tingle. No matter how small a house is, you can still make voice calls, right? He doesn't dare make voice calls because his tongue is stiff, too heavy to lift. Unable to speak clearly, you'd hear it immediately, Chen continued. Her words were like a stone thrown into still water, creating rippling waves. But right after speaking, she simply waved her sleeve and walked away nonchalantly, leaving Jingfei crying in the dorm. I must have the worst luck in 8 lifetimes to be assigned to the same dorm as someone like Chen. She just can't stand seeing others happy, she can't make friends herself, and no man likes her. So she has to mess with me. And Ran angrily agreed, exactly. People like her with their jealousy have twisted minds and always try to act mysterious. As they both cursed Chen together, I listened for a while before timidly raising my hand. But don't you think what she said makes some sense? Fei Fei's boyfriend really has never voice called her. When Jingfei heard this, she suddenly looked up with red eyes, glaring at me as if terribly wronged. Are you also like that lunatic Chen, saying my boyfriend is a ghost? A dead person? I quickly shook my head. No, how could that be possible? That's not what I meant. I was thinking, since Chen said your boyfriend doesn't dare voice call you, why don't you just have one voice call? Prove it to her, leave her speechless. And Ran slapped her forehead. Right. Record the voice call when you do it. Then share it in the group. Let Chen hear it and slap her face with proof. Jingfei's eyes lit up, her mood shifting from sadness to joy. Good. I'll tell Wu Ranjun right away. Wu Ranjun was Jingfei's boyfriend. During class, a message popped up in the 3-person group chat. Without Chen, from Jingfei, my boyfriend agreed to voice call with me. The screenshot showed their chat history. Jingfei had asked Wu Ranjun to voice call her. He was hesitant at first, saying it wasn't convenient to talk, but when Jingfei threatened to break up, he finally gave in, explaining he had a slight speech impediment and worried she wouldn't like how he spoke. Jingfei skipped lunch, eagerly dragging in Ran and me back to the dorm to witness her first voice call with her boyfriend. When the call connected, Wu Ranjun's voice came through. He called her baby, making Jingfei blush as she shyly asked if he'd eaten. His voice wasn't exactly unpleasant, but it was strange, each word pronounced slowly and deliberately, as if his tongue was too heavy to lift, speaking with great effort. This matched Chen's description exactly. I listened silently, my heart pounding, cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. But Jingfei, lost in the excitement of their first voice call, didn't seem to notice anything strange about Wu Ranjun's speech. After hanging up, Jingfei was satisfied, and Ran listened to the recording with gleaming eyes, seeming even more excited than Jingfei. Then, Jingfei posted the recording in the 4-person dorm group, tagging Chen. The dead person spoke. Dare you listen? The 3 of us clutched our phones, eager to see Chen's reaction. Soon, she replied with 8 characters. Listen to it yourselves. I suspiciously played the recording, but the sound that came out made all 3 of us pale. The recording only had Jingfei's voice. What responded to her wasn't human at all. It was a strange, low growl, like a monster's gurgle, with a shrill, distorted quality that no human could possibly produce. How is this possible? What's happening? Did Chen do something? Jingfei's voice trembled. And Ran was terrified too, goosebumps rising from her neck to her arms. I swallowed hard and asked honestly, didn't you think Wu Ranjun's speech was strange? Jingfei and Ran froze at my words, carefully recalling, their faces growing increasingly troubled. I reluctantly advised Jingfei, maybe we should listen to Chen. Stop contacting Wu Ranjun, he is strange. Don't risk attracting something unclean. Jingfei looked at us with tear-filled eyes, but said nothing. She simply turned off her phone and threw it in a drawer, unilaterally cutting off contact with Wu Ranjun. But that night, I was plagued by nightmares. A man's shadow chased me, demanding to know why Jingfei wasn't responding to his messages. His sharp teeth and mouth gaped like an abyssal maw, as if ready to bite off my head, repeatedly demanding that Jingfei turn on her phone. I dreamed it too, and Ran said, her voice shaking. We saw the same terror in each other's eyes and turned to look at Jingfei. Her face was deathly pale, panic-stricken. My heart sank. Could she have had the same dream? Sure enough, Jingfei said tearfully, I also dreamed he said he's coming to find me tonight. Those exact words had appeared in my dream too. A chill washed over me, raising every hair on my body. This was absurd. All 3 of us had the same dream. Just then, the bathroom door opened, and Hu Qing walked out looking refreshed. Seeing her felt like seeing a savior, and I hurriedly asked, Hu Qing, this is so strange. Do you know why this is happening? What's strange about it? Hu Qing said disdainfully, I warned you countless times not to court death, but you wouldn't listen. Now that something supernatural has come knocking, you're finally scared? Her words were harsh, and Jing Fei's face immediately fell. Is Wu Ranjun really dead? I asked Hu Qing brazenly. He won't really come to our dorm, will he? Hu Qing, do you have any way to help us? Hu Qing replied coldly, now you remember me? When you were talking behind my back, did you think there'd be a day you'd need my help? If you want my help, apologize. I never talked behind your back, I said pitifully. Hu Qing's gaze swept over and ran and Jing Fei. Jing Fei couldn't stand her attitude anymore and angrily banged on her bed frame. Who needs your help? Maybe you're the one behind all this. You're always acting mysterious. Hearing this, Hu Qing sneered, you think I'm some pushover? Want help without apologizing? Then she slammed the door and left. Looking back now, Hu Qing wasn't wrong. Never contact a strange number from your dreams who knows whether it's human or ghost on the other end. All day, I felt uneasy, and Ran unconsciously lowered her voice when speaking, as if afraid of being overheard. We all knew that whether Jing Fei's boyfriend was human or ghost was now unclear. None of us dared to play that recording again. It became more terrifying each time. And last night's dream was horrifying to think about. And Ran and I were like startled birds, jumping at even the wind blowing from the balcony. In the afternoon, Hu Qing surprisingly returned to the dorm and gave each of us a talisman. They were common yellow talismans with symbols drawn in what looked like cinnabar. When I asked Hu Qing what they were for, she said they ward off evil spirits and protect peace. Whether the talismans worked or not, the psychological comfort they provided felt like a lifeline in our desperation. I clutched the talisman tightly in my palm like a treasure, saying tearfully, thank you, Hu Qing. I knew you had a soft heart despite your tough exterior. Hu Qing rolled her eyes impatiently. That's like calling me a pushover. For the first time, I felt Hu Qing wasn't so difficult to get along with after all. Hu Qing had prepared 3 talismans for us, but Jing Fei hadn't returned to the dorm. As darkness approached, and Ran and I paced anxiously. Could something have happened to her? We kept calling and messaging her, but Jing Fei didn't respond until 8 at night, finally messaging the group, I'm not coming back to the dorm tonight. And Ran blinked in disbelief, then grabbed her phone and screamed frantically, she's the one who attracted Wu Ranjun. She can afford to stay at a hotel and walk away, leaving us in the dorm. If that unclean thing really comes looking for her tonight, she's run away. But what about us? I hadn't expected Jing Fei to handle things by escaping alone, without any consideration for others. And Ran, furious, cursed Jing Fei's selfishness in the group chat, but Jing Fei played dead, not responding to a single message. Hu Qing, leaning against the bed ladder playing with her phone, suddenly smiled eerily. She messaged, Jing Fei, have you considered? That thing is looking for you, not us. It might not come to the dorm, but instead, to the hotel. As soon as the message was sent, Jing Fei instantly replied, what do you mean? Hu Qing asked, which hotel are you in? But Jing Fei never answered again. Hu Qing put away her phone and shrugged, she brought this on herself. My eyelid twitched with an ominous feeling, nothing bad will happen to Jing Fei, right? Who knows? Hu Qing looked at the night outside, her eyes cold as autumn water. The good news is, at least tonight you can sleep peacefully without worrying about anything unclean coming here. And Ran and I exchanged glances. We understood Hu Qing's meaning. Wu Ranjun wouldn't come to the dorm, he'd go to the hotel to find Jing Fei. And Ran and I agreed that if Jing Fei didn't return tomorrow, we'd go to the police and tell them everything that happened. Even if the story seemed far-fetched, saving someone was more important. We couldn't just abandon Jing Fei. What exactly was her boyfriend? What was that recording about? Was Jing Fei safe? The police would figure it out. The next day, and Ran and I rushed back to the dorm right after class. The dorm door opened. Welcome back. Surprisingly, Jing Fei stood before us, greeting us enthusiastically. She looked radiant, vibrant, and completely fine. And Ran and I were stunned. Honestly, this scene was far from what we'd imagined. Seeing us frozen, Jing Fei held her stomach laughing. You didn't really think my boyfriend was a ghost, did you? Haha, you two are so silly. Hearing this, and Ran and I felt awkward. And Ran forced herself to ask, Fei, when did you come back? Why didn't you respond to our messages? We were worried something happened to you. Sorry, Jing Fei said coyly. I was with my boyfriend yesterday, couldn't respond to messages. Boyfriend? Woo woo Ranjun. And Ran's eyes widened in shock. You met him? He's not a ghost? You've really been poisoned by Huiqing. He's perfectly alive. We spent the whole night together. Do I look like I've been eaten by a ghost? Of course not. She was bouncing with energy. And Ran and I felt even more awkward. If that's the case, what about the recording? And what about the dream we all had? I asked. Xingfei waved dismissively. Who knows? She smiled mysteriously and took out 2 jewelry boxes, giving one to me and one to Ran. Here, meeting gifts from my boyfriend for you too. How nice! And Ran was overjoyed, quickly opening her box to find a gleaming gold bracelet with small grayish-white stones, delicate and lovely. For poor students like us, a gold bracelet was an expensive gift. And Ran happily put it on, admiring it repeatedly. Sui, try yours on too. Xingfei took the bracelet and slipped it onto my hand, adding, only got 2, don't tell Huiqing, there isn't one for her. The gift was too expensive. I hesitated to accept and tried to pull my hand back. But somehow when the bracelet touched me, it slid onto my wrist like it was oiled, fitting perfectly as if custom made. Pretty, right? Xingfei said proudly. Beautiful, beautiful, and Ran praised. The dorm was filled with laughter. Huiqing opened the door and came in, and the laughter stopped abruptly. The sudden awkward silence made me uncomfortable, so I greeted her, you're back? Huiqing ignored me. Her gaze fell on Xingfei, and she covered her nose in disgust. It stinks. Xingfei snapped back, fraud. Later, a message popped up in the 3-person group chat. Huiqing, I advise you to move out of this dorm as soon as possible. Stay away from Xingfei. That day, Huiqing started packing to move out. Regarding Huiqing's departure, Xingfei made no effort to hide her joy, and Ran showed neither happiness nor sadness, while my feelings were complicated. I had a strange thought. Was Huiqing moving out so decisively because there really was something wrong with Xingfei? This thought seemed absurd when faced with the vivid, lively Xingfei. Huiqing didn't have much luggage. I insisted on seeing her off and helped carry one of her bags. On the way, Huiqing suddenly asked, what's that on your hand? I felt awkward, embarrassed to explain the bracelet's origin. But Huiqing only glanced at it before stating, from Xingfei. I nodded, hoping to quickly brush past the topic. Huiqing frowned, staring at me. Sui, have you looked carefully at what's embedded in the bracelet? Only then did I look closely. The golden bracelet had 3 grayish-white stones, not polished smooth ones, but stones with a slightly frosted surface. Huiqing said abruptly, those aren't stones, they're human bones, heel bones. Heel bones? I was horrified. With this thing on, even moving dorms won't help, you can't escape. What do you mean? What can't I escape from? I was terrified. Huiqing seemed reluctant to explain, her tone serious, like a warning. Sui, the smell of death on Xingfei is very strong. Though I don't know what happened yet, if I were you, I wouldn't be foolish enough to stay under the same roof with her. But you have no choice. If I'm not mistaken, and Ran has a gold bracelet too, right? My expression must have been very panicked. Huiqing said knowingly, Xingfei's rush to give you both bracelets means she must have urgent business. Tonight, between midnight and 5 a.m., Sui. Remember this, sleep facing the wall with your back to the bed ladder, tie my talisman to your back. No matter who comes for you, no matter what they say, don't turn around, don't answer. These words were so mystical, they left me dumbfounded. Seeing me frozen without response, Huiqing raised an eyebrow, her tone displeased. You don't believe me? I stammered, not knowing how to answer. She smiled mockingly, if you don't believe me, fine. I've said what I needed to say. How you choose is up to you. Were Huiqing's words true? I carefully sniffed Xingfei, but strangely, I couldn't smell any death odor. Should I really act like an idiot and tie a talisman to my back? Just thinking about it made me feel embarrassed and foolish. Unable to decide, I went to consult Ran, telling her Huiqing's warning word for word. And Ran laughed. Sui, Huiqing must be mentally ill. She's playing you. What death smell? Pure nonsense. I just had hot pot with Fei Fei. If there was any smell, it was the delicious beef tallow hot pot. And Ran's words made me ashamed of my groundless suspicions. However, when night fell, I secretly tied Huiqing's talisman to my back, even using superglue to secure it, afraid Ran and Xingfei would see and laugh at me. I thought, since the talisman is under my pajamas, no one can see it. And what if it really works? Before bed, I deliberately lay facing the wall, back to the bed ladder. I figured, sleeping is sleeping, whether facing the wall or not, so why not face the wall, just in case the talisman works? Basically, I was scared enough to follow all of Hu Qing's instructions. Strangely, maybe it was psychological, but after midnight, the room's temperature seemed to drop several degrees instantly. I wrapped my blanket tighter, the nerves in my forehead pulsing, making me uneasy. Sui, are you asleep? Jing Fei's voice suddenly came from behind. I jumped in fright, instinctively wanting to turn around, but then thought, why would Jing Fei look for me so late? I forcefully suppressed the urge to turn around, pretending to be asleep without making a sound. There were rustling sounds behind me. Jing Fei climbed up my bed ladder and lay down behind me. Sui, stop pretending. I know you're awake. And Ran told me everything, how Hu Qing told you to tie a talisman to your back, not turn around, not answer. You really believed her? I continued pretending to sleep. Seeing me still pretending to sleep, Jing Fei got angry. Sui, do you know how ridiculous you look right now? There's something I didn't want to say, but thinking about it, I should tell you. Remember at the start of semester when all freshmen had to take a psychological test in the computer room? The results were kept confidential from students by the department. When I was running for student council, I helped the psychology department teachers organize files and accidentally saw Hu Qing's test report. It clearly stated she was diagnosed with early signs of mental illness. My boyfriend Wu Ranjun is a living person, not some ghost. It's absurd. These are all Hu Qing's delusions, yet you believed her. Jing Fei took out her phone and pulled up a photo. I secretly photographed Hu Qing's test report. See for yourself if you don't believe me. I keenly noticed something. Jing Fei had climbed onto my bed, said and done many things, but there was one thing she hadn't done. She hadn't touched me, not even the edge of my clothes. This wasn't right. Given Jing Fei's personality, if I kept ignoring her, she would normally just grab and turn me to face her. But she didn't. She wouldn't touch me, as if she was afraid to. Cold sweat instantly broke out on my back. I had almost turned around out of curiosity. Jing Fei said many more things, but I ignored them all. Finally tired of talking, she spat out angrily, "Fine, Sui, you'd rather believe a mental patient than me. I've wasted my breath. Sooner or later, you'll realize how stupid you're being today." Jing Fei gave up, climbing down from my bed and storming away. I let out a long breath, checked the time. It was 3 a.m., still 2 hours until 5. I didn't dare sleep, afraid I might turn over and ruin everything. My shoulder was numb and sore, my eyelids heavy with exhaustion. Sui, guess what I just saw? Hearing this voice, goosebumps instantly covered my body, fear seizing all my nerves. I hadn't expected and ran to come too. Like Jing Fei, she climbed onto my bed and lay behind me. Sui, you don't need to guard against me too, right? Let me tell you, I just saw a man on Jing Fei's bed. I think she brought Wu Ranjun back to the dorm. I didn't dare disturb them. What should we do? Should we report this to our counselor? Sui, say something. Stop pretending. I know you're awake. I had told Ran that Hu Qing thought something was wrong with Jing Fei. I had told her Hu Qing wanted us to sleep facing the wall. I told Ran everything, except one thing. I had stuck a mirror on the wall, so I could see behind me without turning around. So at this moment, I clearly saw that although Ran spoke lively words, her skin was a frightening grayish-blue, her eyes lifeless, her mouth opening and closing. Behind her was the shadowy figure of a man, standing on the bed ladder, head down, staring at me unblinkingly, as if waiting for me to speak so he could lunge with his bloody maw. I stared at the mirror, not daring to blink. Ran lay behind me like a wandering soul, her mouth opening and closing, mechanically spitting out words. She seemed unconscious. Suddenly, a rotting face appeared close up in the mirror. I nearly screamed, clamping my hands over my mouth. My mind went blank for a long time. Cold sweat soaked through my nightgown. I was terrified out of my wits. It must be that man's doing. He was trying to scare me into making a sound. Fear surged through me, and I quickly closed my eyes, not daring to open them. With eyes closed, the fear multiplied infinitely. Like a blind person, I was surrounded by endless darkness, crisis approaching from all sides. I wrapped myself tightly in my blanket to keep from shaking too violently. Time ticked by painfully slowly. Though my eyes were closed, my hearing became incredibly sharp. I heard Ran's footsteps leaving. She seemed to climb back to her own bed and lie down to sleep. The clock hand finally moved from 4 to 5. As dawn broke, I opened my eyes and immediately texted Hu Qing, "Need to see you, urgent." Hu Qing quickly replied, "Open the door, I'm outside." I practically tumbled out of bed to open the door. Opening it, I saw Hu Qing standing there. I asked, When did you get here? She said, watched all night, finally figured it out. I said, I figured it out too. Huiqing, you were right, there really are ghosts. Huiqing strode into the room carrying her bag, turning to close the door. She unzipped her bag and pulled out an iron rod as thick as a thumb, weighing it in her hand. I asked in shock, what are you going to do? Huiqing told me to stand aside. She raised the rod and started banging on the beds. Hey, everyone up! Just like a street gang leader. My heart raced, afraid to imagine what Jingfei and Enran might look like. I could only silently pray that what I was about to see wouldn't be too horrific. I steeled myself, my heart in my throat. Enran responded first. She cursed while pulling open her bed curtain. What's with the ghost calling so early in the morning? Her voice was as strong as usual. Peering from behind Huiqing, my first glimpse of Enran left me shocked. In just one night, Enran had aged at least 20 years. Her skin was waxy yellow, her cheeks sunken, her eyes lifeless, and even her hair had turned white, yet she seemed completely unaware. Huiqing said nothing, just handed her a mirror. Enran took it puzzledly and looked in. Who's this? She paled, throwing the mirror down in disbelief and rushing to the full-length mirror. How did I end up looking like this? Enran broke down. She seemed to have no memory of last night, only shocked by her aged appearance. Without warning, Huiqing lifted her nightgown. Around Enran's navel was a light red ring of teeth marks, like a tire track circling her navel, branded into her skin, bright and vivid. Enran stared dumbly at her stomach. What is this? How did this appear on my body? Huiqing said, these are marks left by a human ghost child sucking life force. Her gaze slowly turned to Jingfei's bed. I've been wondering what exactly Jingfei encountered. Only last night did I finally understand she met a human ghost. The human ghost used dreamwalking to forge a connection, then lured her step by step into a trap. If I'm not mistaken, that night at the hotel, he planted a human ghost child in Jingfei's womb. Human ghosts are different from ordinary ghosts. They have characteristics of both ghosts and humans. Some well-practiced ones can even disguise themselves as humans and live in the human world. Therefore, human ghost children are different from ordinary ghost children. Ordinary ghost children only need to absorb yin energy to be born, but human ghost children need both yin energy and living human's life force, maintaining a balance to grow healthily. The birth of one human ghost child requires at least 3 human lives. He likely planned to turn this dorm into a death chamber to incubate his human ghost child. You 3 were his chosen prey. No, not just you 3, I was originally in his plan too. Isn't that right, Jingfei? Through the gap in the bed curtain, I could vaguely see Jingfei's shadow moving. Her belly was shockingly large, like a volcano about to erupt. Something inside constantly moving, making her skin rise and fall, looking ready to burst at any moment. Huiqing glanced mockingly at Enran and said softly, seems he ate well last night, full of energy. Enran shuddered involuntarily, knowing the human ghost child had fed on her life force. Huiqing suddenly yanked open Jingfei's bed curtain. Behind it, Jingfei sat with disheveled hair, her belly so swollen it nearly reached her chin. Her eerie eyes stared fixedly at Huiqing, making my scalp tingle even though she wasn't looking at me. Huiqing seemed unaffected. She moved quickly, grabbing Jingfei's collar and yanking her down. Enran and I gasped as Jingfei tumbled from the bed, her belly hitting the floor hard. Wah wah, eerie infant cries came from her belly, chilling us to the bone. How could an unborn child cry inside the womb? Enran and I instinctively moved to help Jingfei, but that inexplicable fear made us both step back, abandoning the thought immediately. Jingfei tenderly stroked her belly, cooing, good baby, don't cry, but something bit her hand, blood instantly gushing out. Huiqing looked at Jingfei mockingly. Jingfei, you're no great mother. Did the human ghost deceive you? Did he promise to spare you if you bore his child? Panic flashed in Jingfei's eyes. Clearly Huiqing had guessed right. With a "you're so gullible" expression, Huiqing continued, let me tell you the truth. Me, Sui, and Ran, any of us can be replaced. Just find 3 people for the human ghost child to drain enough life force. But you can't be replaced because you're the host. When the human ghost child is born, it will drain the host completely dry. Its birth means your death. Jingfei, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you believe me? Will you trust the human ghost, or trust me? Blood poured from Jingfei's hand as she sat slumped on the floor, looking up at Huiqing with increasingly desperate eyes. Huiqing, save me. I don't want this ghost child. I don't want to die. I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have talked behind your back. Please save me. I beg you. For the sake of being classmates these years. Fei wept, but Qing nodded readily, making an okay gesture, whether your apology is sincere or not. Since you apologized, I'll handle this. She then gave Ran and me each a talisman paper, sticky on one end as if coated with glue. Qing instructed, stick it to your forehead. Once the fight starts, I won't be able to protect you. I stuck on the talisman without hesitation, only then realizing it wasn't glue. The sticky substance adhered firmly to my forehead, more effective than any adhesive. Ah! And Ran screamed beside me, recoiling from the talisman as if electrocuted, instinctively throwing it away. I can't use this talisman, it hurts to touch, and Ran cried. Normal, Qing said calmly. Your yin energy far exceeds your yang energy. You're half dead already. Choose, endure the pain of the talisman or lose your life. And Ran had no choice but to tearfully pick up the talisman and, despite the excruciating pain distorting her face, resolutely stick it to her forehead. Qing pulled several oddly shaped bottles from her bag, mixing a bowl of black-green talisman water for Fei to drink. The concoction looked more terrifying than poison. Fei asked fearfully, "What's this for?" Qing replied concisely, "To expel the ghost child." At these words, Fei's belly violently thrust upward, making her howl in pain. Qing's eyes sharpened as her fingers gripped the human ghost child's head through Fei's belly, urging her, "Drink quickly." Fei gritted her teeth and took the poisonous water, about to drink it down. However, with a crack, the bowl shattered, spilling the talisman water over her hand. Fei's eyes began trembling as she looked around in terror. Qing said calmly, "Finally here." She pulled a gleaming black rope from her bag, quickly binding Fei to the bed ladder, also immobilizing the human ghost child inside her. And Ran fainted from the pain after applying the talisman. I wanted to faint too but couldn't, only able to hide behind Qing, trembling like a quail. The door lock slowly turned from outside, and a man entered. He looked exactly like his photo, even more handsome in person. No wonder Fei was willing to bear his child, no, his human ghost child. The human ghost looked completely human, even fashionably dressed. "Miss, could you spare my wife and child?" he pleaded softly, his voice deep and magnetic, hard to resist. But Qing didn't even blink. "You're a ghost, why not find a wife in the netherworld instead of causing trouble in the world of the living?" Wu Ranjun narrowed his eyes, the air instantly turning cold. For reproduction, I had no choice. Qing's words were like poisoned ice. Human ghosts shouldn't exist. Better to end your lineage now. Wu Ranjun's face darkened. "So, there's no room for negotiation?" Qing snorted. "Negotiate what? Today, you and your son die together." I couldn't tell who struck first, but by the time I realized, they were locked in combat. I hid under the desk, wishing I could turn invisible. Just then my phone vibrated, a scheduled message from Qing. She told me, "Find the coffin, human ghost sphere exposed coffins. Someone downstairs will help, the coffin should be buried here." Along with the message came a location. Looking at this message, I nearly cried. Not only would Qing not let me hide, but she'd given me such a daunting task. Heaven help me, she really overestimated me. After much hesitation, I finally mustered all my courage, crawled out from under the desk, and bolted from the dorm, racing downstairs. My tears flew in the wind, my mind struggling to catch up. I didn't even know how I got downstairs until someone grabbed my collar, asking, "What did Qing say?" I stopped. "Huh?" It was an older man. He asked anxiously, "Weren't you sent to relay a message?" I remembered the text about someone helping. "Sir, are you the helper?" The man paused, probably finding the term helper novel. "I suppose," he answered. I showed him Qing's message. After reading it, he decisively pulled out his phone. "Right, bring the excavator directly to this location. Dig! We must unearth the coffin. Don't delay, hurry!" What authority? This was a school, how could they bring in an excavator? "No problem, I'm on the school board, I can authorize this much." The man put away his phone and took me to supervise. Our school was built on a graveyard. When it was built, we had someone check, said it might not be very peaceful. The man chatted as we walked. "So every year our school recruits several special students as protective talismans. Qing in your dorm is one of them." As the excavator worked and the board member chatted, I tried to act mature and asked, "Why didn't Qing just send the scheduled message to you?" "She couldn't," the man explained. "Even you being able to run out of that building was only possible because of the talisman on your forehead. Otherwise, you could wander inside all day without finding an exit." "I see, lucky I didn't mess up." The excavator worked efficiently, quickly reaching the coffin. At the board members' command, they opened it. When the coffin lid opened, there lay a man inside. His body hadn't decomposed, looking as if he were merely sleeping, as though he might wake up at any moment. However, when sunlight directly hit the coffin, the man vanished in the blink of an eye, leaving only an empty coffin lying lonely at the bottom of the pit. How was Huiqing doing? I rushed back to the dorm to find Huiqing sitting on the floor, panting, her hair disheveled. Seeing me, she irritably demanded, "Why were you so slow? Dealing with that ghost man was hard enough." Then Jing Fei went crazy and lunged at me, saying she wanted to protect her man. Just when I was about to give out, strangely, the male ghost suddenly vanished. I also saw Jing Fei lying unconscious on the floor, her belly now completely deflated. So, when the human ghost's corpse was exposed to sunlight, his soul scattered, and his child, the human ghost child, couldn't survive either. Although Jing Fei kept her life, her body was completely broken, forcing her to take a leave of absence and return home. And Ran, with her excessine energy and lost youth, wailed and howled all day. Huiqing had to give her acupuncture daily to help restore her youth. And Ran cried out in pain like a porcupine from all the needles, but Huiqing showed no mercy, needling where needed. And Ran held my hand, crying sorrowfully. Huiqing must be doing this on purpose, getting revenge for me talking behind her back. Why didn't I already apologize? Sincerely apologize. I also apologized to Huiqing, not for talking behind her back, but for discriminating against her because of her differences. Huiqing was satisfied with my apology, patting my shoulder saying, "I accept your apology. You're not bad. If you encounter anything strange in the future, just come find me. I'll help you." Well, let's hope I never encounter anything strange again.